do it. Motivation isn't coming.
Yeah.
Willpower is a myth.
Yeah.
It's really not about any of those things.
It's just thinking outside the box a little bit, daring to try it and thinking, you know, what's the worst that could happen?
Ask myself, what am I doing here? You know, what's important for me? And if that feels selfish, then why? Why does that feel selfish?
To be healthy, you need to journal, you need to go in cold water, you need to go to your hot sauna, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's like people are a bit overwhelmed by it all, that it's almost like, I don't know where to begin, just to take one little step in the right direction, and it will make you feel so much better in so many different parts of your life.
The other thing that I was thinking is, how can people who maybe they haven't got a big garden or they haven't got any garden, you know, how can they grow their own? Is there an option for them in little boxes or something?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
As long as you've got a windowsill that's in the sunshine, you can grow things. You know, you don't have to have a garden. You know, if you live in a flat, you can still grow things, you know, and you don't even have to grow it from a seed. You can go to the garden centre, or, I mean, around us, you can drive along the street and there's people selling tomato plants or little lettuce plants. You know, you can stop and you can get one from them. But, you know, or go to your garden centre. You can buy a little plant. You know, you might need to buy a bigger pot to pot it on a little bit, but you can pop that on your windowsill. As long as you put that love into it, make sure you water it, and, you know, you might have to give it a bit of food if it's a tomato plant or something. But as long as you nourish it, it's going to grow, it's going to produce things, and you're going to think, wow, I've just grown this. And then, you know, the next year you might think, oh, I might try something different. You know, you don't have to have a whole full garden like us to grow it. We do that because I have my business and we want to try and grow as much as we can for the business. But you don't have, and one courgette plant will produce so many courgettes, you won't know what to do with them all. So I think it's about trial and error and not being afraid to fail. I think also, if you can't grow your own at all, often, say this time of year, you'll be driving around, especially in Lincolnshire, and often people have got, say, a crate of apples outside their house, and it says free because they've got so many they don't know what to do with. Or if I walk around my village, there'll be someone selling little bags of tomatoes because they've got too many. And so often, you know, people are quite happy to share because they've got too much and they don't want it to go to waste because they've put their love into growing that. And so I think you can definitely take advantage of that. And also just have a quick Google. Where's your local pick your own that you could go to, or your local farm shop, and they grow their own things. So you don't have to do it yourself if, you know, you might not be into gardening, and that's totally fine. But it's, you know, just having a look to see where your local things are. And then I think that will make you aware of what's in season. Because at all times of the year now, you can get anything you want. You can get strawberries in the supermarket in January. Who knows where they've come from? It's certainly not this country. And they're not going to taste very nice. You know, when we grow our raspberries, I think this is the fruit that is the most obvious that you've grown your own. When you taste one of those compared to what you've bought, it's such a big difference. And so I think if you can try and buy local and support local, you'll notice a difference in flavour, and also, you know, it does make you feel good supporting local people. So you get to know more people, you make that connection again. So I think the more we can do of that, the better.
Absolutely, yeah. And, you know, we're all about habit stacking and small changes here on the podcast. So what I was hearing you say there, trial and error. Start with just a couple of bits.
Yeah.
See how you get on. YouTube it, chat GPT it.
Yeah.
You know, because gardening can be overwhelming.
Yeah,
I know
100%.
that I gardening and I'm like, oh, I don't know, I haven't got a clue, you know. But, you know, if you fancy having a little bit of an experiment with that. And the other thing I was thinking, if I've got a really busy day, at the end of the day, if it's sort of tea time and I'm only just starting to think about what to have to eat, at that point, I'm going to be feeling, I just want something quick.
Yeah.
So for me, before I start work, I have a look. What have I got? Mm-hmm. What shall I have today?
Yeah.
I'm making the decision in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I work from home most of the time. So in between my clients, I might do a little bit of prep 10 minutes worth gradually throughout the day. So I'm quite lucky that way because I'm at home working for quite a lot of the time. But I need to make the decision in the morning.
Yes.
And kind of get ahead of the game just a little bit, because if I've had no prep whatsoever, come the evening time, it's going to be, bung a vegetarian burger in,
Yeah.
And I've just recently discovered Swede chips
Ooh.
with Cajun on them.
Oh my
I'll
try
God.
that.
It's really nice. I
Yeah.
mean, they're nicer than actual chips.
Yeah. Oh, I'll try that.
Yeah, a little bit of olive oil.
Yeah.
And then a bit of Cajun spice.
Yeah.
Get it in the air fryer.
Yeah, yeah. And that's not complicated, is it?
Really
and it's
nice.
just thinking outside the box a little bit, daring to try it and thinking, what's the worst that could happen? You know, it's going to be edible.
Yeah.
Even if you don't ever make it again,
Yeah.
But I think what you were saying there as well is that you don't want to make your decision when you're tired and hungry and you want to eat something quickly. And so I think one thing I always say to people is just try and plan a little bit. You don't have to, set in stone every single meal. But if you plan, say, 3 of your recipes a week for your evening meals, then it takes away that stress of, oh gosh, what am I going to cook? I haven't got anything in. It also will reduce your waste because you're only buying what you actually are going to cook. And it'll then make the cooking more enjoyable because you haven't spent 15 minutes going, and thinking about everybody else's opinions, what they likes, dislikes. And so you've already made that plan. So you can come home and you can start that cooking process. And, you can take that time to unwind and relax rather than being at a stress. I need to get it on the table. You've saved yourself the time of all of that to then think, I can just enjoy the cooking process. And what I also say is if you can, to batch cook. It's such a winner. If you get in and you don't know what you're going to have for tea, what's in the freezer? Or if that morning you've thought about it, you can have already got it out in the freezer. I think batch cooking is such a great thing to do because you can be prepared at the end of the day and you've got healthy choices right there at the end of your fingertips, ready to go. And I just think it's such a valuable thing for people to do and to save those leftovers. Don't be thinking, I've got a little bit left, just put it in the bin. Save that, have it for your lunch tomorrow, save it for your tea the following night, or pop it in the freezer. It's such a simple thing to do, but we often maybe don't plan or prepare enough so that we've got double what we were going to make in so that we can make it and then freeze that second batch. But you will thank yourself so much for those nights when you get in and you don't know what to cook and there's something there ready to go. I think that's, really, really good thing to do.
I think that's really important what you said there, because again, I'm thinking mindset that when I think about this, I don't really make, it's not a decision to make now to go to the gym because I kind of formed that habit. But in the beginning, and I still say it to myself more when I'm running, when I hit a mark where I think, I'm a bit tired now. I'm awake about 110 hours a week. And I exercise probably about 5 hours of that. And so I think if I exercise that 5 hours, I've got 105 hours to feel good about those 5 hours.
That's such a good way to think about it.
And it's similar to food. That if I spend, prepping food, doing I can't think of the word. What was the word that you just said?
Batch cook.
Batch cook.
Yeah.
When you do that, it's so much easier than through the week. But what you're doing is you're showing yourself that you can do it. But making any changes at all, it takes a little bit of time to form that habit.
100%.
So during that time, you've just got to kind of do it. Motivation isn't coming.
Yeah.
Willpower is a myth.
Yeah.
It's really not about any of those things. When you look at somebody and think, it's okay for them, they're disciplined, they've got willpower, they're motivated. Maybe they grew up with that kind of lifestyle. I think it is easier. If you live that experience growing up, it's easier because that's your normal.
Yeah.
But for many people, when we're making a change, it's really about habit, and it's really about showing ourselves, gathering evidence almost that this is who I am now. I know that that's something that I said to myself. You know, I'm a person that goes to the gym now. I'm not a person trying to go to the gym. It's just these little brain hacks that I've found so useful. And when we then do it for a while, you start to believe that, no, this is who I am now. Mm-hmm. I am a healthy person.
Yeah.
It is all about our mindset, really. Because for as long as we think that we're a person trying to be healthy, but that's not really who we are, it will really struggle to sustain it. Mm-hmm. I think we do have to believe it, that this is who we are. You know, and we see a lot of stuff online, don't we, about manifestation and about if you believe it, you can be it, and all that kind of thing, which I think is good. It depends what you be careful what you wish for. Mm-hmm. I think, you know, because the mind is a powerful thing. But yeah, that's what I was thinking there. Again, the mindset is so important. And I was thinking the attitude of food and being related to restriction, and we need to be good and not naughty. If we eat that cake, it's naughty or whatever, versus eating whole foods and feeding our bodies as nourishment, as doing ourselves a favour. Yeah. You know, for that however many hours a week we eat, we've got over 100 hours of reaping the benefit of that. Because, you know, again, we don't talk enough about, we talk about nutrients equals health, but it's so much more than that. It's literally changed my life over the last few years. I'm not sure I would be doing this podcast without, you know, doing the exercise and healthy or nutritious eating. It changes you in so many other surprising ways. It builds confidence.
100%.
You know, that's what you don't. I didn't expect that. You start to have more clarity in your thought. The things that you used to beat yourself up about, I don't do that anymore. What's that got to do with food? You know, and exercise. These are the other things that people don't talk about as much. Or I haven't come across
making those links, isn't it? The eating well actually makes you feel better. It clears your mind. And I think there's so many illnesses and diseases and things like that out there that we just kind of have accepted and just, you know, oh, I've got this, you know, I'll go to the doctors and get this for it. So it's fine. I can just get the doctor to give me something well, it's not making you better. It's probably just disguising it. Whereas actually it's like, if we thought a little bit more about the connection between food and what we're putting on our bodies and what we're eating and illnesses, and maybe that would be the best place to start before having to go to the doctor to sort it out. I think we've kind of lost that connection because the doctor's so readily available. We just, oh, I'm a bit ill, we'll ring up the doctor. You know, doctors, I don't know, I mean, they're amazing and we need them obviously for so many different things, and we couldn't live without them. But I just think they don't have that nutrition training, you know, which they've obviously got so much else to learn about. But because they don't, it's not their first thing to suggest, you know, oh, have you thought that maybe you need a high fiber diet and this is how you can get there? There's, you know, I don't know what the answer to it is, because I feel like the whole system obviously needs the reshuffle. But I think we need to kind of take it on ourselves to learn about it and to learn how we can nourish our bodies so that we're well. You know, we don't want to keep going in this society that where so many people are poorly and ill, and that's just the norm, that people are on so many different tablets, and it's just crazy. I know, like, my grandparents, they've over the years built up and up and up on the things they now take, and it's kind of, you want to be like, just stop taking them all. But at the end, they can't do that because the doctor's told them. And the doctor is kind of, to a lot of people, well, they're the superior figure, aren't they? And they're the ones who knows what is right. And, you know, in a lot of cases, absolutely, of course. But I just think we need to have that reshuffle, that push to make us look at what we're putting into our bodies and, like, you know, the outcome of what's that actually doing to our health, short term and long term. It's worrying. It's really worrying that people don't make that connection. And I think there's also the other side to it, that we now have social media, obviously, at the tips of our fingers. And so we are bombarded with healthy messages or
quick fixes
and people's opinions. And it's who's to say who's right or wrong. And also, I think with the quick fixes and the diets, somebody will say, oh, I did this diet and it was absolutely amazing. And now I'm going to tell everybody about it because it works so well for me. And that's the key. It works so well for you because it suited your body and what you do, your hormones, everything like that. But just because it suited you doesn't mean it might suit your next door neighbor, because they are completely different. And I think people jump onto these fads and think, you know, right, I'm going to try that because look at them. They look amazing. They're doing great in their life. And that's what I want to be like. And so to get there, I'll do what they're saying. And we've all seen it. We know people who have done it. And, you know, maybe you do lose a bit of weight to start with, or you can kind of jump on doing some fasting or something like that. But is it going to be sustainable in your life? And you're kind of going all in. And like you say, it's about those little habits, building up those little things to make it last, rather than being like all in for 2 weeks. Then actually you've burnt yourself out because it's just not possible to do everything at once. And I think, you know, there's so many things out there, like, you know, to be healthy, you need to journal, you need to go in cold water, you need to go to your hot sauna, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's like people are a bit overwhelmed by it all, that it's almost like, I don't know where to begin, because there's just so many choices to pick from, and so-and-so said that, but so-and-so said that. So, you know, and I listen to podcasts and they have different guests on every week. And so you do get bombarded from different people's opinions, and it's like, well, what should I be doing? But I think in terms of food, what I would say is just go back to basics. You know, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's nothing revolutionary. It's just cutting out the processed things as much as possible. I know it's not possible all the time. And cooking from scratch with ingredients that are actually real, like, you know, that's come out the ground, that's come off a tree, like, you know where that has actually come from. And you look on, say if you have something with a packet, you look on that back of the packet at the ingredients and you know what those ingredients are. I think that's a good thing about, if something's processed, have a look. Do I know what's in that? Yes. If there's something there, or a few things that I'm like, I actually have no idea what that is, maybe you don't want to be putting it in your body. Exactly.
And the list is
endless. Yeah. And so I think it's not about anything complicated. It's just about getting back to basics and eating whole foods that we know where they've come from. And I think it's an easy and a good place to start at. And say if every night you eat a ready meal for your dinner, let's just think of one easy, simple recipe you can start introducing. Maybe you make double of that recipe once a week. So that's 2 meals a week. You're now eating that. You know, start building that in. The next week, make a different recipe. And now you've got those 2 recipes you can rely on. So I think it can work at all levels. That some people, you know, they don't cook at all. So that's quite a good way to start. And some people, maybe they cook all the time, but they feel stuck in their routine. And so again, just choose one new recipe a week. Don't think every night I need to be cooking something new. Just think, okay, every Tuesday night I'm going to go into this cookbook and cook something new from it. And then you soon build up your repertoire, but it's not too overwhelming or overfacing that you think the next week, oh, I'm not doing that again. Yeah, I think it is simple, but you just kind of need to allow yourself the time and the mindset just to let yourself do it and have a go.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes, literally, I just bung some stuff in.
Yeah.
But, you know, things like bean and lentil chili.
Yeah.
I love spice, you know. So it's just literally, most of my meals take me 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes max to just chop a few veggies up and bung some stuff in a pot in the Clever Chef.
Yeah.
So it's very doable. But I was thinking when you were talking there that the importance of lifestyle, what you're talking about is lifestyle, really. It's not a 6-week program.
No.
It's not. It's something that you can sustain. And so that does take a gradual process, where you just think, right, what can I do this week? Like you say, maybe try and introduce 2 or 3 meals that are just slightly more healthy. What could people expect to feel the difference? What do you think? If they were to gradually incorporate some more healthy food, reducing that processed food, over, say, a 4 or 5 week period, what do you think they would start to notice? What would the benefits be?
I think you'll feel better in your body in so many ways. I think it will start gradually, and also it might be worth saying, say if you've somebody who doesn't eat any fruit or veg at all, if you suddenly introduce lots of fruit and veg into your diet, it's going to make your body feel a bit like, oh, hang on a minute, what's going on? But you do it gradually and don't let that put you off. I think you'll feel lighter in your mind. You'll feel clearer. You won't have that brain fog. I always think if I have like a lighter lunch and don't have something carb heavy, I don't have that afternoon slump of wanting to go and have a quick nap. And so I think if you also introduce like whole foods and, have some nuts and some seeds and some good proteins and fats, I think you'll be surprised how full you feel. I think often, we're not exclusively talking that you have to eat vegetarian or vegan here at all, but I think often if people have a vegetarian or vegan meal who don't normally eat that way, they think, well, I'm not going to be full after a plate full of, just vegetables, but it's so much more than that. And I think, you're just going to feel lighter in your body. You might actually lose weight as well, but it's not necessarily about that. I think it's about feeling like you've got a clearer mind, and so that you're then able to make healthier choices in different aspects of your life. Maybe you'll go for a morning walk, and if you've managed to prepare and plan your recipes or your meals ahead, you might actually find you've got some extra time in your day, so you could do something. You might have extra half an hour to read your book, or start a new hobby that you didn't do before. I think it's just small changes in one part of your life can actually then start affecting your whole life. And so I think it's such an easy thing to do without getting overwhelmed, just to take one little step in the right direction, and it will make you feel so much better in so many different parts of your life, and your body obviously included in that.
I think that's a really good point. And what I was hearing there and what I was thinking about was it's kind of how we treat ourselves as well, isn't it? We spend a lot of time thinking about what we should be doing and maybe how we need to take care of others. And so we don't really have space for, okay, what do I need? How am I really feeling? It is normal that we live in a stressed state, really, now. There's depression, anxiety's on the increase, where people don't feel that they're enough, or that they're doing enough, or that they're good enough. This is such a common thing that people experience now. And therefore, people will beat themselves up and think, compare themselves to others, and social media obviously has an impact there as well, that other people have happier lives than us and all that kind of thing. So I think it's important as well, that mindset of how we treat ourselves, because when we think actually maybe we deserve as much as we think the next person deserves, and maybe I should take some time to ask myself, what am I doing here? What's important for me? And if that feels selfish, then why? Why does that feel selfish? You know, because if we don't take care of ourselves, clearly we are more likely, more vulnerable to chronic illness and anxiety, depression, and all those things. So when we want to start treating ourselves with the same compassion as we might expect for somebody else, we're more likely to want to take our health and say, you know, what do I really need? What's going to help me? Because that seems to be quite a common thing that is a real barrier for people actually, who feel either that they might not even think about it at all, because like I say, we're just conditioned to work and produce and try and get through life really. So what do you think about that? What about kind of people taking it easy on themselves, being a bit easier on themselves actually, and saying, do I expect more of myself than I do of anybody else?
Yeah.
And can I actually sustain this?
Yeah.
You know, what do you think about that kind of thing?
That's the end of part 2 in our 3-part series with Holly from Holly's Garden Kitchen. I'm loving this conversation. Holly talks about food, not just as fuel, but as a way to connect with each other, as a source of healing, as a source of joy. We talk wellness and mental health and everything in between, really. I'm loving this conversation. I hope you guys are as well. So be sure to tune in next week where we continue this fabulous conversation. Have a great week.